Please stay with me for a few minutes. Jaya Jaya Kalpita Sarge, Jaya Jaya Vaishnavi Durge, Jaya Jaya Kalpita Sarge, Jaya Jaya Toshita Bhage, Jaya Jaya Puchadita Sage, Jaya Jaya Vaishnavi Durge. Shrika Satguna-jale, Sindhura Ramjita Pale, Shrika Satguna-jale, Sindhura Ramjita Pale, Pakasa Sarnamani Nile, Praliya Bhudara Bale, Jaya Jaya Vaishnavi Durge. Palita Kesalaya Chape, Parvati Lokaika Deepe, Palita Kesalaya Chape, Parvati Lokaika Deepe, Kalika Komala Rupe, Khandita Tribhuvana Tape, Jaya Jaya Vaishnavi Durge. Veena Vinodini Gidrije, Vidruma Mani Sanni Bhagidrije, Veena Vinodini Gidrije, Vidruma Mani Sanni Bhagidrije, Manika Loka Samaje, Nanda Gopalaka Sahaje, Jaya Jaya Vaishnavi Durge, Jaya Jaya Kalpita Sarge, Jaya Jaya Toshita Bhage, Jaya Jaya Puchadita Sarge, Jaya Jaya Vaishnavi Durge, Jaya Jaya Vaishnavi Durge, Jaya Jaya Vaishnavi Durge. Sarve Jana Sukhino Bhavantu.
We heard the melodious singing by Shrika Sristy, little girl from the Indian community here. Now we come down to the first speaker. I will begin by welcoming all guests. And of course, the first guest from India, spiritual and motivational speaker, author, philosopher, Ms. Annu Kalra. A deeply intuitive and empathetic secular spiritualist, Annu has devoted her life to nurturing people into embodying their best selves. A published author with many solo art exhibitions to her name, multitude of TV appearances, featured writing in national and international publications, and awards. She has been a visiting master at Ananda in the Himalayas near Rishikesh and is forced to mentor many. I would request Annu to begin her talk with the second topic, Navratri. Anu, your voice is muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So I will do a little bit of an Om chant before we continue. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Om. Shri Gurave Namaha. So, Tanuja has already shared with you a little background about Navratras. I will not repeat whatever she has said. Let me just share a little bit about how we can use this period for our own spiritual evolution, because that is the most important thing. One thing is knowing the rationale about behind something. The other is knowing, once you know the rationale, how you can utilize it in our own lives. So this is a very, starting tomorrow, 17th of October, we have these Navratras beginning. These are 9 nights which are very powerful nights. And depending on our own understanding of ourselves and where we stand in our spiritual quest, in our mental development, we can use this period constructively to take our understanding to the next level, to create a real shift in our perception, to create a real shift in our behavior at multiple levels. What do I mean at multiple levels? The very benefit of fasting per se. Fasting is basically when you voluntarily refrain from partaking of some natural pleasures for the sake of fulfilling a certain purpose. It is not the same as suppression. When you're on a diet where you control your eating and measure what you're eating for the purpose of maybe altering your markers like your triglycerides or cholesterol, or for the purpose of um, reducing your weight, that can be called fasting in a way. But that is a very limited understanding, which is limited only to the physical level. And of course, at the physical level, it is very powerful, it is very effective. Anybody who has gone through a detox will realize if they spend 8 or 9 days going through a regimen where they are very careful about what they consume and very structured in their approach towards food, they will feel by the end of those 8 days, they will feel that benefit. So there is no taking away from that. But that is just very small part of fasting, because it is not going to just affect us at the physical level, but it is going to affect us at every level. And how does it, how does doing it in this particular period, how does it help us more than maybe doing a detox or a fast at any other time? Because right now the energies are very strong. This is a period, this is considered one of the most powerful periods. The period begins, we have these 9 days of fasting, and then we have the Vijay Dashmi, as Tanuja just shared. It is Vijay, the victory over the negativity in the world. So that victory can be within ourselves, on our own tendencies, on our own, on those things which do not let our latent virtues flower, prosper. This period can be used for that, because the energies are very strong with us at this point of time. It's like, there is a time for sowing in a garden. At some point you sow in a farm. There is a period for sowing a certain kind of crop. There is a period for sowing a certain kind of flowers in the garden. So this is the period where one can take the benefit of the universal forces and create in one's own life the kind of energy body, the energy the surroundings, what we need to manifest for ourselves. So at the physical level, as we understood, this is about having detox, and as a result also being in a better space mentally. But at the emotional level, this is a very meaningful thing. A lot of people are not aware of it, but actually each of these days is dedicated to one relationship with the feminine energy in our life. You fast and you celebrate that particular energy in our lives. So the first day is supposed to be fasting for the Mother Earth, because the first feminine energy that we encounter when we manifest in this world is the energy of the earth, which has been so gracious to accord us space on it, which is going to nurture us with its vegetation, with its water, with its various minerals, with the beauty, with the nourishment, and all of the resources that are available on this earth. So the first Navratra is to honor Mother Earth. And those of you who are not already aware would know that there is a ritual of sowing, bringing a little piece of, bringing some soil from one's home and putting it in a container and sowing some barley in it and placing it in the area where you can do your puja, where you do your prayers. So basically, what we have done is we have brought the sacred Mother Earth into our on our altar and offered a reverence to her. So at a scientific level also it used to be very powerful because we were an agrarian economy when this ritual was formed. And as a result, the people who have their basic life is about farming and having food, they could see how fertile their soil is because over the next 9 days, the way the wheat grass grows, the grass grows, would give them an indication about whether the soil is prepared for the sowing season. So it was a very scientific and a very pious ritual at the same time. The next day is to fasting is for respecting the midwife, the one who's responsible for our being delivered and our mother and the child being safe, because they have to be in safe hands. That is how, I mean, the 9 months that a mother has nurtured the baby in the womb would be wasted if the person who is helping deliver the baby was not there with her wits and with her entire understanding and knowledge to be able to take the right actions at the right time, right? So the second day is for the midwife. The third day is for the woman who helps take care of the mother and child. It is called the prasuti ma. So the first day is for Dharti Ma, Mother Earth. Second day is for Dhai Ma, the midwife. We also call her Ma, a form of the mother. The third is for the Prasuti Ma. This is the lady who will look after the newborn and the new mother, because since they were very prone to infections, they're very fragile at that moment, they would be kept separate from the rest of the family, and there would be this wise person whose job it would be to take care that the baby is getting a massage, the mother knows how to nurse the baby, because a new mother may not know how to nurse the baby, but she needs some experienced hands guiding her through it. The mother's dietary needs are met because she may not know what is good for her and what is not good for her. So this was supposed to be called the Prasutima. In nowadays, we also call it the Japa maid. So anyway, the fourth Navratra is to pay your respects and celebrate the mother, the Apnima, the mother who has given birth. The fifth is the next relationship that a child experiences in the feminine environment is of a sister. So sister. The sixth is for a niece, because sometimes it is possible that a new child is being born but already has a sister who's old enough to have a child already, right? So the niece, the mother, so sorry, Dhartima, Dhaima, Prasutima, Apnima, Behen, sister, then niece, right? This after somebody has been through being respectful and experience these nurturing relationships, these delicate, fragile, caring relationships in the life, a child develops sensitivity to the feminine in their environment. And when this boy grows up, when this little boy becomes a man and takes a partner, then he fasts for his wife. That is the seventh, for a wife. After that, so these are the 7 days of fasting. On the eighth day or the ninth day, most people have a ritual called Kanjak, where their little girls are invited into the house. They are worshipped and they are fed the food that they like to eat. It's celebration of the daughters and granddaughters is what happens on the eighth and the ninth day. and they are given, they're showered with gifts and love, and this recognition that this little girl who has come into our home, this daughter or the granddaughter, is an embodiment of the Divine Mother and deserves our respect, deserves our care, deserves to be celebrated, deserves to be looked after in the in the best way possible. And you need to really pamper her. So these are how the 9 days of the Navratra work at the emotional level. But this is not all. There are so many layers and layers and layers of understanding these powerful days. So I will just take one more before we move on to the next speaker, because I think we have 10 minutes per person. I hope I am not overshooting my time, but I will quickly take you through one more understanding of it. We have these three powerful goddesses in Sanatan Dharma. These are called Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, and Mahasaraswati. So each of these 9 days, three days are dedicated to these three goddesses. The first 3 days are for Mahakali. Mahakali is part of our Kriya Shakti. So how do we explain this? There are supposed to be, Shakti is the energy, right? There is an energy of desire, which is Ichha Shakti. Desire. Desire is an energy. If you didn't have desire, you will not get up and do any work in life. So desire itself is an energy. Then there is Gyan Shakti, the energy of knowledge. Once you have a desire, you need to know how to go about fulfilling it. So that is Gyan Shakti. And then there is final Kriya Shakti, which is the energy of action. So the energy of desire is Mahalakshmi, the energy of Gyan, of knowledge, is Mahasaraswati, and the energy of Kriya is, the energy of action is Mahakali, right? So we have three days for each of them. Now, how does it work? The first 3 days are Mahakali's days. So that is the time when we bring about changes in ourselves. How do we do that? So the Navdurgas that we're talking about, Navratra, have Navdurgas, and each has a name, each has an iconography, each has a story related to it, and it would get into a very long discussion if we started sharing all. But what I will do is I will quickly share the name and the particular qualities and attributes that the goddess represents. So the first goddess, the first Navdurga, is Ma Shailaputri, which means Shailaputri means daughter of the mountains. And she represents faith and commitment. Because if you have to start a journey, the first thing you need is to have faith that you need to take this journey. Because otherwise, you cannot begin that journey. And you need to have commitment towards that journey. So the first day, Ma Shailaputri is for faith and commitment towards this entire process. The second Durga is called Ma Brahmacharini, and she represents discipline, practice, and good conduct. Right? Once you have the faith and the commitment, that is not enough. Now you need to follow it up with discipline and practice and have good conduct in the process. The third Durga is known as Chandraghanta. Chandra means moon, the crescent, and she has a crescent moon here. If you see the imagery of Chandraghanta, if you Google it sometime, you will see she has a crescent moon on her forehead. And what are the attributes? What does she represent? She represents control on the mind. Yeah, that's why the moon is here at the forehead. Alertness, because once you have commitment, once you have decided to practice and follow through, you need to be alert and you need to take the right decisions and have the readiness to go through this journey. So these are the Kriya Shakti, the Maha Kali aspects. Then begin the Mahalakshmi aspects. So the fourth Durga is Kushmanda. And what does she represent? She represents, I'm going to be reading a few here so that I don't miss out any attribute while sharing with you. So she represents the growth attitude, the positive attitude, and the openness to possibilities. Because it is one thing to decide that, yes, you're prepared for this journey. But now, as the journey has started, unless you're open, if you keep stay stuck to your own ideas and you're not willing to explore, how will you move from where you are? So that openness, that positivity is represented by Ma Kushmanda. The next goddess is Kandamata. She represents self love, courage, compassion. Look at this, self love and compassion are the attributes of the same goddess. Because unless there is self love, there cannot be compassion for somebody else. So that is very essential. Oftentimes we think we need to look after others and we need to feel, take care of others, but we don't take care of ourselves. That is not right. We need to, unless there is self love, there cannot be compassion. So if you really do care for the world, if you really do want to make the world a better place, become better, help people become better people, please take care of yourself too and love yourself. The sixth Navdurga is Katyayani. She represents sharing, nourishment, relationships, because all this you're finding within you, all these latent qualities that you have, which you are allowing these goddesses to help you manifest, they are futile if you're just living as an island, because we are all of us are actually one. And unless whatever we have found within, if we don't share it and if we don't spread it around, it is futile. And actually something beautiful cannot in any case be held back. Can you hold back the perfume of a flower? When a flower blossoms, the fragrance will spread around wherever the air takes it. It can't say, no, no, this is my fragrance, I will hold it back, I will keep it only inside. Only when somebody picks me up and decides to sniff me, and if I like the person, I will allow the person to smell me. That does not happen. So this energy of sharing, of nourishment, which is a part of Mahalakshmi's energy, is Katyayani. Then the seventh Durga is Kalratri. Now, after having been through all this energy, now you need a time to rest, to have calmness, to start introspecting. What has happened is the first three goddesses, the incarnations of Mahakali, have helped weed out negativity from us by bringing us to a state of discipline and action. The second, which is Mahalakshmi, has the three goddesses that are represented as Durga's various forms. They have taken us to a positivity in our lives. They've created this space for having a positive approach. Now comes the ultimate gyan, of understanding, of having clarity of vision. Because through all this, what is it that we are going to finally manifest? We need to become spiritually more evolved. I mean, because there is no such thing as spiritual life and material life being separate. They are all the same. It is seamless life. Whatever you have gained in the spiritual, it has to start reflecting in the material. So now we have a time for rest, calmness, and introspection. The eighth Durga is Mahagauri. She represents purity and Gyan. Gyan is knowledge. Knowledge not just in a bookish sense, but in a real experiential sense, where you know deep within you that knowingness about something, where it does not matter what somebody says, what you know, but not with a fist thumping attitude, but with a great humility and recognizing the sacredness and the grace in each and every moment. And the final Navdurga is Siddhidatri, and she represents perfection, accomplishment, success, and continuous improvement, because this unfolding is eternal. There is no such thing as I have reached where I had to, I have nowhere else to go. The unfoldment keeps happening. It is an ongoing process. And this period of the Navratri is to support this unfoldment within all of us. And we can each, based on our own understanding, based on our own situation in our life, decide how to use this period to the best, at the mental level, at the emotional level, at the physical level, and most importantly, at the spiritual level, which is all encompassing, helping us become better people, become more evolved, become the kind of person who builds bridges and not the kind of person who builds walls. I hope if anybody has any questions, I don't know if the question answer session now or is there in the end? I don't know. So I don't know what the format is. Tanuja, please guide me.
Thank you so much, Annu, for giving such a beautiful, overview of the Navdurga that we worship starting from tomorrow. Definitely, it is very relatable if we look at all the incarnations and all the forms of Durga. It is very relatable. I think all the women and all probably the men also would be able to relate to the different roop and the forms of the feminine energy. Now we'll move on to the next speaker, keeping the whole flow in such a way that we can have all the speakers first talk about their views. We have now Bhagirathi Chaitanya from Vedic Foundation, who is going to give us an overview of what Vedic scriptures say about the feminine energy and the goddess Durga. As whatever I have read a little bit, I have come to know that it has been mentioned in both Rig Ved and Atharva Ved, and around 2000 or more years ago, there was this concept of how Devi Durga was created by through all the gods and energy from all the gods. How she was created to save the universe. Also, of course, we know that maybe the word Durga might not have been mentioned, but that divine energy has been talked a lot about in the Vedas. So I would request Bhagirathi to give us a short introduction of what the Vedic scriptures say about Goddess Durga and this absolutely pure festival. Bhagirathi.
Namaskar. Thank you very much. Let me start with an invocation and then we move on. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Para Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So thank you very much, Tanujaji and Anuji, for the previous talks. It was really interesting, and I tried to pick it up from where you left it. So, what do the Vedic scriptures say about Durga? So, one of the most well-known and most beautiful texts that depicts Durga is the Devi Mahatmya or Durga Saptashati. It's a majestic poetry in Sanskrit which inspired artists, dancers, musicians, painters, even philosophers and yogis, of course, to get inspiration from her heroic battle against the evil. We know her story, we have a picture in our mind about her, and now let's pierce all the layers and find the essence of her nature. We do the pujas and we study the scriptures over and over again for a reason. And what is this reason? What is that something that you desire the most? Anuji already mentioned that we aim for moksha, for freedom. And the aspiration of a human being is really the soul's longing for freedom, the desire of the soul, ultimately. That maybe they look like sensory desires, mental desires, or intellectual ones, social desires, material ones. But at the bottom of it, the longing is for freedom, to realize ourselves. So in the Devi Mahatmya, which is an incredible poetry, describes us, this march of the human soul to its destination, the realization of this freedom through these nines, and on the 10th day she reaches. All these pujas and scriptures are uplifting our emotions and awakening our intellect, so we can make this march through the end. So the Devi Mahatmya is part of the Markandeya Purana, containing 13 chapters, and they are grouped into 3. These are the 3 major steps, which of course include smaller steps, but through these 3 major steps, there is a transformation of outlook, attitude, and constitution of our being. The threefold transformation of the spiritual being of the aspiring soul are dominated by 3 deities, which were mentioned before: Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, and Mahasaraswati. There's a beautiful picture. Our spiritual march is very different from our own march along the road, we can say, our individual march. Because we can walk alone on the road, no one accompanies us. But when we spiritually take our steps, this is not an alone step. We walk together and we take many people with us, or even the whole universe. And after the 3, there's a 4th stage, which is incapable of any description. We don't know whether we call it unity or diversity, oneness or otherness, the goal towards which the soul is marching. So in this description of the Devi Mahatmya, we carry forward psychologically and spiritually to our destination, to the ultimate realization. The 3 sections. The first one, where Adi Shakti awakes Mahavishnu, who was asleep, so that he may destroy or overcome the original demonic forces, Madhu and Kaitava. The second stage is where the same Shakti manifests herself as Mahalakshmi and overcomes Mahishasura and Raktabija. The third one is where Shumba and Nishumba are destroyed by Mahasaraswati. The final victory is Vijayadashami, the 10th day, as you know. And this is the victory, the mastery of the forces of nature, and your goal is reached. When you step over 9, you enter into infinity, because numbers are only 9. You don't have 10 numbers. So the whole cosmos is within 9. But when you transcend the 9, you've gone to infinity, which is beyond cosmic relationships. So the lower point of nature is like dirt. We call them mala. This dirt is in the form of kama, krodha, and lobha, desire, anger, and greed. These 3, therefore, should be abundant. The Bhagavad Gita mentions that as well. If we manage somehow to overcome this Madhu and Kaitava, Kama, Krodha, we get into the clutches of Mahishasura and Raktabija. They represent Vikshepa Shakti, the tossing of the mind. Every minute, the mind changes its forms, which multiply in millions. You read in the Devi Mahatmya how Mahishasura changed his forms. At one moment, he's an elephant, then he's a buffalo, and then something else. If you hit him in one form, now he comes in another form. And this is your inexhaustible opponent. No matter how much you try to oppose the Vikshepa Shakti, it will manifest in another form. But luckily, we have masters who know how we can overcome these weaknesses. And if we gain control over Kama, Krodha, Madhu, and Kaitava, and after Madhu and Kaitava we get Mahishasura and Raktabija, those Mala and Vikshepa are the primary oppositions in our spiritual pursuit. We can reach this doing Karma Yoga. That's what removes dirt or Mala. And Vikshepa, we can have the medicine of worship or Upasana. But even now, when you feel you are almost safe, Maybe Mala might have gone, Vikshepa is not there, but there's a third trouble, a complete oblivion of consciousness. Desires are the outer expressions of a subtle ignorance, the truth or avidya. But why do we desire things? Because we don't know the nature of the truth. This is what is depicted in the epic of Devi Mahatmya. This subtle overcoming, transformation of the cosmic nature in the form of tamas, rajas, and then sattva. The mala represents tamas, vikshepa represents rajas, and now sattva. Sattva is also a guna, unfortunately. And although we praise sattva and we regard it as a very desirable thing, but it's like a transparent glass that is placed between us and the truth. You can see through it, but you cannot go beyond. So even sattva is a subtle medium of obstruction, which acts in a double form, as complacency or satisfaction with what has been achieved, and an ignorance of what is beyond. These two aspects of sattva are indicated by the two personalities of Shumba and Nishumba. They have to be dispelled by the power of higher wisdom, which is Mahasaraswati. Action, contemplation, and knowledge are the three stages which we have to pierce through the veil of Prakriti or the three gunas. And as I mentioned earlier, we are not individual pedestrians on this path. There is no individual movement here. There's a total of everything connected with us, and no item in the world is really disconnected from us. Every thread of a cloth is connected with another thread. So the path of a sadhana is also a cosmic effort of the soul, subtle secret which most sadhakas are likely to forget, and it's good to remember sometimes. It's not a small, simple, private effort of ours, but a dynamic activity and an essential personality internally connected by the unforeseen relationships with everything in the cosmos. So the dance of the cosmic spirit in its supernatural effort at self-transcendence, it's majestically described in this text, stimulating us. And what Mahakali did, what Mahalakshmi and Mahasaraswati did, is bringing about this evolution, transformation of the whole range of Prakriti from Tamas, Rajas to Sattva, and from Sattva to the supreme mastery of the Absolute, the God realization. In the scriptures, Puranas, and epics, and ceremonies, celebration, all the festivals or Jayantis, whatever be the occasion for a religious performance, all this is charged with a spiritual connotation, significance which is far transcendent to the outer rituals, which is involved in their performance. Every thought, every aspiration, every ritual, and every duty of ours, every action that we perform automatically becomes a spiritual dedication of the soul for the sake of this one single aspiration, which it has been combining in itself from eternity to eternity. And this is what it brings, these epics. Whatever the Ramayana or the Mahabharata says, whether it's in the Bhagavad Gita or Devi Mahatmya, they tell us the same account in different terminologies and with different emphasis. It's always a song of the soul. So through the worship of Mahakali, Mahalakshmi and Mahasaraswati, we worship Mahaprakriti, Adi Shakti, in her cosmic dance from transformation, prosperity to illumination. And also, it's a great mantra shastra. Every shloka, every verse of the Devi Mahatmya is a mantra by itself. Glory to the God, glory to the sadhana, glory to the integral character of spiritual practice. May we be blessed with this illumination, with the wisdom, with the strength to tread the path of the Spirit to the ultimate freedom.
Thank you so much, Bhagirathi ji. It was very enlightening. You indeed took what Annu ji said to another level. And if we take a small message from both of you, and the message is, of course, that all the negativity that we talk about around the world is all actually within us and without us. And that is the sum total of what we are fighting, what we are fighting against. And that is one of the reasons why these 9 days are extremely important, because we have to introspect, and then we have to come to the conclusion exactly what we want out of our life and what we want from this universe and this cosmic world. I will now move forward. Coming up, of course, is the beautiful cosmic dance, as you mentioned, Bhagirathi ji, cosmic dance of the Adi Shakti that is coming up. But before that, I would like to welcome Dr. Shardha Batra ji from New Delhi, who is a spiritual counselor, healer, and Vedic teacher. In spite of being a pathologist by profession, her interest in alternative healing made her diversify into realms of mind and soul. She utilizes her expertise in blending professional prowess to balance wellness, healing, and wholeness. She passionately uses Vedic Sanskrit sounds to remove energy blocks. You would like to experience that, Dr. Batra? I request you to begin your session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tanuja ji. And namaste to everybody. And I would like to wish all of you a happy Navratras, a joyful Navratras. Let me start with a small invocation to Durga herself. Om Katyayanaaya Vidmahe Kanyakumari Dhimahi Tanno Durgih Prachodayate. So let's start today's talk with what are the Vedas? The Vedas, to understand the Vedas, I think most of us think that they are books, they are sacred books, they are texts written. So are they texts? Have they been written? And what are these mantras, the Vedic mantras? To understand this, I need to take you back to the dawn of creation, when there was nothing and creation was about to begin. So when there was nothing, what was there? So if you go back to the Bible says there was the word. In the beginning, there was the word. What is this word? The quantum physicists say there was energy. So if you can imagine, there was nothing, but there were these waves of energy emanating from the source. And this energy was alive. It had wisdom. It had power. It had everything that you are looking for. It is still there. It's an endless, it's an eternal phenomenon. So there are always waves of energy in the universe which are manifesting as you, me, the universe, and which also carry wisdom. So all the questions that plague us, the answers are there. Why don't we get them? Why do we struggle? Because these vibrations of energy are at a very high level of existence, in a very high sphere of existence. So when a person like you and me decides that I think I want that knowledge, we retreat, we take a sabbatical, we shut the door of our room, and we decide to do some practice, spiritual practice. Navratras is a wonderful period to do that. So when we retreat within, and we go antarmukhi, we go within rather than rushing out, what happens? We want to meditate. So when we want to meditate, our dissipated mind becomes focused. When the mind becomes focused, your consciousness automatically and spontaneously rises to a higher level called samadhi. So when a person retreats and meditates really intensely, like the Buddha, the consciousness rises, and in samadhi, what happens is the barriers between you and this huge cosmos are dissolved. And these cosmic vibrations willingly come and offer themselves. They pour into your intuitive mind and they reveal all answers and all secrets. These energy vibrations, which are reverberating in the cosmos eternally, and therefore they are producing sound because they are vibrating. So it is an energy which is producing a pulsation and a sound, the shabda, the word. These carry knowledge, and these are known as the Vedas when they reveal to the yogi. And such a yogi gets promoted to the level of a rishi or a seer or a sage. Now, it has been revealed. The rishi then pours it out in his own words, which are also very sublime and inspired words, and it becomes a sacred, miraculous formula, the Vedic mantra. So the Vedas are a revelation, the Vedic mantras are the articulate expression of that revelation. And they can work miracles provided the Vedic mantra is chanted correctly according to certain rules of pedagogy or rules in the Vedang which preserve the healing potency of the Vedic mantra. When you chant a mantra according to these rules, it not only connects you to the parampara but also maintains the power of healing in that sound per se. The meaning is secondary and of course very rich and reveals itself as you chant the mantra. Everybody can learn to chant Vedic mantras, which are so healing and creative. You do not need to know Sanskrit, and neither do you need to know music. So I hope I have encouraged and inspired a few at least to step into this realm. Now we go forward to who is Durga. So after Tanuja ji and the other speakers, Annu and the other Didi, all of them have explained so beautifully all the layers. There isn't much for me to speak about. So Durgati Nashanti iti Durga. As her name suggests, she is the one who destroys difficulties. But who is Durga? Is she a Devi, a cosmic goddess? Or is she something else? What is Durga? Is she outside? Is she inside? Durga is the primordial, the first vibration of the cosmos, the Pratham, the Adya Shakti, as Bhagirathi ji said. And she is the Mahadevi, the greatest of all. She's the big boss of all the Devas and Devis. She's the mother of all creation. Everything, even the creator, Brahma. So Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, the Gunas, the Tattvas, everything comes from Adya Shakti Durga. Everything is held by her. As you go through your life and you grow older and you have experiences, she holds you. She integrates you. That's why you're together. Together with your experiences of your childhood. Why don't we just disintegrate? So she holds you. And when we die and we drop our bodies, we go back to her lap. So that is Durga. On one hand, she's Maya. She confuses us. And she puts us in the round of birth and death. On the other hand, she is the Karuna Shakti. She is also the Shakti which saves you. Now, how does it happen? Durga has been mentioned very briefly in the Vedas. She's also been hinted at, which I'll soon come to. But Durga as an archetype who is so popular and so known to be powerful, such a powerful persona, she actually came into her own in the Puranas. And like Bhagirathi ji said, in the Markandeya Purana is the Durga Saptashati, which are these wonderful, it's a mantra shastra, it's a sadhana shastra. What happens when you chant the Durga Saptashati? The vibrations take you to your subtle body and you heal by rearranging the vibrations of your subtle body. You go to the next level and you ascend. So in the Puranas, see, Vedas are revelations. Puranas are stories. Vedas are revelatory sounds to the inner ear, not the outer ear. Whereas Puranas are these, the drama, the stories. It's like the cosmos is taking a dream. So what is this, what is this mythology, which is purely allegorical? Mostly in the Puranas, you will see there's a conflict between the Devas and the Asuras. What are Devas? Devas are the forces of light. They are in the cosmos, they are in you. What are the forces of light in you? Mercy, kindness, compassion, wanting to share, and so many others, the good forces. Asuras are the forces of darkness. What are these? Selfishness, arrogance. So there is a perpetual battle in the cosmos, outside also, at a higher level, between the Devas and the Asuras, which the Puranas talk about. Now, when this battle happens, the good forces come running to Durga and seek her help. And she always gives it to them, always defeating the Asura. Asura gets defeated but comes back. Very much like us, we defeat a habit which is negative, but it goes into the subconscious, stays as a sanskara, as a seed, and can come back. So it's a never-ending battle. And both the speakers have spoken about Mahishasura, the buffalo demon, and you will see a picture of Durga with a spear piercing this Mahishasura, who's such a horrific looking mammoth demon. And she's got these ashtabhujas, 8 arms, and she's killing this demon. This demon represents the lethargy, the ignorance, all the lower, the tamas within us. And Durga Shakti is demolishing this demon. Now, where is this battle between the Asuras and the Devas fought? Can you guess? I wish I could have one person answer me if they could guess. Where is the battlefield of the Devas and the Asuras? Where is this battle fought? This battle is fought within the human being's psyche, which makes the human being a very privileged and chosen member of the universe. So your janam, your birth as a human being is so precious because you are the battlefield. The Asuras, good and bad forces will fight within you. And whenever there is a turning point, a crisis in life, you will be forced to choose between either falling back into your old ways and being trapped by fate, or picking a new choice, a wiser decision, a more equanimity, and utilizing your buddhi as a mirror more. So once you choose, the choice is yours. Durga doesn't force you, but once you choose to fight your old habits and you react to the dark forces from a higher and more calm and more selfless level, then Durga holds your hand because she is your buddhi. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Buddhi Rupena Samsthita. Namastasyai Namastasyai. Your buddhi is your mirror, is Durga, and your Kundalini Shakti, that is your urge to always be more. Do you realize all of us want to self-exceed? We always want to go and be more than what we are. That's natural and it's good, provided we take the upward ascent of consciousness. Then Durga holds your hand, she gives you willpower, she gives you sadhana and yoga shakti. And you reach Mahakali, Mahalakshmi and Mahasaraswati, which are just forms of Durga. This was the Puranas. Now we come to what do the Vedas say about Durga? The Vedas have also mentioned Durga. There is a hint at Durga in the Devi Suktam, which is in the Rig Ved by a Rishika, a lady, Vak Ambrani, which describes It's actually a revelation where the Devi proclaims that I am Paramatma, Aham Brahma Swarupani. The other chant is also in the Rig Veda, which is called Durga Suktam. So I'll chant that for you and just tell you the meaning. It's a beautiful sukta. Suktam means hymn. Durga Suktam, a hymn of praise to Durga. By chanting this, like I said, the vibration heals you. And by understanding the meaning, you can meditate on Durga. Om Tamagnivarnan tapasa jalantim vairochanim karma phaleshu jushtam Durgan Devi Gum Sharanamaham Prapatye Sutarasi Tarase Namaha Pushcha Prithvi Bahulana Purvi Bhava Tokaya Tanayaya Shanyoho. Beautiful chant. What does it mean? I offer my oblations to the fire of Durga, to her who is the color of fire, blazing with tapas. What is tapas? Tapas is austerity, restraint, concentration. Who is the invincible power of the Supreme? How is Durga worshipped? She is worshipped by offering the fruits of your karma to her. O Devi Durga, I take refuge in you. Durgan Devi Sharana Aham Prapadye. Durga Devi Sharana Aham. I take refuge in you, shelter in you. Prapadye, I bend down to you. Then it says, Pushcha Prithvi Bahulana Urvi Bhavatokaya Tanayaya Shanyoho. Very, very relevant in today's times. It says, of course, it says, please ferry me across the ocean of difficulties. And then it says, spread your auspicious nature over land and earth so that earth becomes abundantly fertile and green. Fill us, your children, with your eternal, blissful presence. So, just meditate on her being the golden deity, all powerful, the mother of all, protecting you. She will see you across the ocean of difficulties, which is samsara, and also do a collective prayer. Like Bhagirathi ji said, we are not isolated, we are connected. If one person is unhappy here, everybody will be unhappy everywhere. So we have to pray for others, and you pray that earth becomes full of greenery, compassion, forgiveness and oneness, so that we can all help each other and live together, driving away all asuras. So that is the Vedas, and let us just end with a prayer that these Navratras restore the rhythm of earth and its inhabitants. Let us all slowly be restored to the rhythm of health, safety, beauty and compassion. Om Shanti.
Thank you so much, Dr. Batra, for decoding the symbolic meaning and the symbolism inherent in the stories around and the meaning behind this Navratri Puja and Goddess Durga. I'm sure it must have been very helpful for all the people here. Now we will move on to our last speaker, and also followed by a beautiful performance. According to Shaivism, that is the one branch of Hinduism, one of the major branches of yogic philosophy as well, there is a divine masculine energy that takes the form of the Hindu god Shiva, and a divine feminine energy that takes the form of the goddess Shakti. Both Shiva and Shakti are alive in both men and women. All of us have that divine masculine Shiva aspects and the divine feminine, that is the Shakti aspects to our being.
It is said that our feminine side resides on our left side and the masculine resides on the right side. We hold these energies within us, and when united, there's a complete balance, joy, and presence within our very being. And if we are balanced, the universe is balanced. We are going to have a beautiful presentation on this, but before that, I would request and invite Indologist and Bharatnatyam dancer Panni Somi from Hungary, from Budapest, to throw some light on how she has manifested the Shiva and Shakti Shiva dance form. Trained at the prestigious Kalakshetram in Chennai, Paniji has an experience of more than 2 decades in dance and teaching Bharatnatyam dance. Paniji, I would like to invite you to give a short intro and then I will play your performance.
Namaskaram to all of you. I hope you can hear me. Yes? So, Namaskaram. I'm very honored to be here and I'm very happy I can be present in this webinar with all of you. And being the last speaker, I was just thinking that not much is left for me. So I will be really stick to my position, being the performer here, being the performing artist here in this webinar. And I'm not going to talk much about philosophy, about the higher philosophical backgrounds, since we have heard so beautiful talks on this topic. Thank you, Anuji. I loved your talk. It was wonderful. I really loved it. I even made notes because you taught me so many new things. Bhagirathi, thank you for talking about the philosophical background of it. And even the Vedic chants were wonderful. Dr. Batra, thank you for that. Because being a classical dancer, especially living in Hungary, living abroad, it's a very difficult task. It's not only performing, it's not only teaching dance, it's teaching a culture. It's teaching from the beginning a foreign culture. Most of my students are from Hungary, and they come to me not only because they are interested in dance, but because they are interested in Indian culture. So while teaching dance, I also have to lead them into a new culture, to talk about its background, its ancient stories, about the gods and goddesses, the stories of Mahabharata, Ramayana, and the Puranas also, because our dances, the stories of our dances, are based on those stories. So when a festival comes, can you hear me? So when a festival comes, I always have to tell them what it is. Everybody's interested in it. And now, being the performer here, I think I stick to showing something. When, somebody is a dancer and starts teaching, our task is not only teaching the new generation, teaching them how to dance, train dancers and train the new generation of artists. But we also have to train our audience. Training the audience is more important abroad than in India. But I noticed that even in India, it's very important to train the audience, because appreciating classical dances is a very important part. But for that, to be able to understand all these stories and to be able to understand all these classical dances, you have to know a lot. You have to know how to relate the stories. What you see on stage, you have to know a little tricks, a few hand gestures, a few expressions. So I noticed in the last 25 years since I've been performing in Hungary that whenever I talk to the audience before dancing an item. I show them a few gestures. I show them the postures, and I tell them what it is. They are very happy. They feel they are initiated. And if somebody feels initiated, then we listen more, concentrate more on what I'm doing on stage. So now, let's concentrate on hand gestures and postures. So I'm going to stand up after a few minutes, and I'm going to show you a few hand gestures on the topic of Shiva, Shakti, and connected like vahanas. So whatever we figure out, and I would like to ask you that if you have a question, please ask that question, because that moment I can answer or try to answer that question. So first, let's see Devi. Devi is our main topic today, and this is our main hand gesture that we show for Devi. It's a beautiful hand gesture. It's a kind of Katakamukha. I will say these names because I know that some of my students are here, so they should also practice it. So this is a kind of Katakamukha, and this we always show when we depict Devi. This is a basic hand gesture for that. It's a beautiful one, so we have to look beautiful when we show this hand gesture, and have to think that it's not only holding the hands like this. It means holding a flower. A woman is always represented on stage with a flower. Even if that flower is not there, we are just showing as if we were holding a flower. If you watch the pictures of Durga, you will always find that in one of the hands, somewhere, there will be a lotus, a flower. A flower will always be there. So we always hold like this. And there's a basic posture. Can you see me? Oh, I can't hear you, so I hope.
Yes, we can see you.
Okay. So this is a basic stance for Devi. It can be any type of Devi. If it is Parvati, of course, we show like this. Showing this hand, concentrate on this hand. This is called Abhaya Hasta in iconography, which means protection. And if you see the pictures of Durga, you will always find one hand out of the 8 hands will show like this. This is protection. So even if she looks violent, ferocious, and killing a demon, even then she's doing it for protecting. So 2 hands we know, this is one and this is the other one. Okay, each and every god and goddess in Hindu mythology, and especially in Bharatnatyam choreographies, has a vahana. And Durga is riding on a tiger. This is a tiger, okay? It's kind of understandable hand gesture. So I can show it here, yes. So a tiger or a lion. Tiger and lion is also representing power, a powerful animal. So she's riding on it, and she's riding in a way we show like this. Oh, my mirror is reflecting, so I'll stand here. Yes. So just imagine me sitting on a tiger. Okay? It's here. And this is a kind of side saddle kind of sitting. And lots of people in Europe think that the side saddle sitting is because she's a woman and women are sitting like that. All Europeans would think that. Actually, it's not true. So she's sitting like that because in India, in ancient times, people were not wearing pants or pajamas or whatever. They were wearing saris, dhotis, lungis. That was not well suitable for sitting on an animal, on the back of an animal. So it is just traditional way. In a sari, this is the only possibility to sit on an animal. So that's why she's sitting like this, not because she is a woman. So that is the Vahana. Now let's talk about the hands. There are 8 hands, and of course, when I go on stage, I can't have 8 hands. So when people ask me why Hindu goddesses have so many hands, then I always answer they don't have so many hands. We just talk about these hands because they are holding objects, and those objects have to be there. And because it's not possible to hold all those objects in 2 hands, we have to depict more hands to be able to show all these objects. What are these objects? Of course, Durga has to kill Mahishasura. I don't want to talk about it because we have already heard about Mahishasura, what he represents and why he is to be conquered. But I'm talking on stage, about stage. So in the hands, Durga can hold any weapon that any of the male gods in Hindu pantheon can hold. So if you see the pictures and if you see the rules in iconography concentrating on Durga, you can find all kinds of weapons. I show a few. Shankha and Chakra, those are the basics. Normally they belong to Krishna, but we can also see Durga is holding them. This is Shankha, it's always on the left side. This is the conch, okay, Shankha. And on the right side, Chakra, that is there. She can even throw Chakra, show it from here. Throwing the Chakra is like this. When it is thrown, I look away. So this is throwing Chakra. We can see a spear. Spear is showed like this with a shikhara holding up here, or a trishula also. Trishula is a trident. Yes, it can be there. All these can be seen in Durga pictures and even on stage. So when we actually kill Mahishasura, it looks like this. And one important thing is there. A dancer is not only the posture, not only the hand gestures, but the facial expression also. The facial expression is very important. And in the case of Durga, it's not a violent expression. Though she is doing a violent act, because killing a demon is a violent thing. But she will have a calm face. And it's very important. Sometimes I can see dancers who are doing very violent face. It's not good. It's not violence. She's not angry. She's just doing what is right to do. And when she's doing something that has to be done, that is right thing, face should be calm. She is not angry. Okay, let's go back to Devi postures. We can also be here. I have shown this. And I can also show holding the flower, sitting either on the tiger and show the flower. So these are also Durga postures. Let's go back to the other half. And Tanujaji said that I'm going to talk about both Shiva and Shakti. I want to make the Shiva part shorter because now we celebrate Shakti mostly. But we can't be without mentioning him because Shiva and Shakti together, they make the entire universe. And when it is half-half, 50-50%, then it is the perfect balance. And that's the concept, the Shiva Shakti concept. I just love it. And I want to share something with you that in Hungarian language, there is a wonderful word that represents the Shiva Shakti concept. We just speak it as a mother tongue, so we don't think it over what it really means. But in Hungarian language, the word for wife is a wonderful word. If I want to translate it word by word, it means one halfness. So the wife is half of the whole, which is the point. That is the point. So now let's see who is the other half, because Shakti doesn't exist without Shiva. Shiva is the dancing posture, in Nataraja posture. Let's talk about him, because he is the other half of Shakti and actually doing the same thing. I just switch on the light. One hand that is here in the famous Nataraja posture, this one is the same hand that Durga is holding while sitting on the tiger. This is Abhayahasta, protection. Shiva is also not angry. Shiva is protecting. The other hand is showing down to the bird, protecting the bird. And this hand that is lifted, it represents a turn. It's not static, it is continuously turning. Of course, in dance, we don't show that, but this is the continuous whirling, turning, how the bird is turning around and how everything is happening in the bird. One more important thing is that under the head, under the leg of Shiva, Nataraja, there is a little figure. That little figure representing the negligence, representing actually almost everything that Mahishasura represents. So what Shiva is doing while dancing on that Apasmara Murti, the little figure under the leg, is almost the same thing that is represented with Durga killing Mahishasura. And these two together is perfect harmony, and when joining together, that is Ardhanarishvara in iconography and even on stage, that we show like this, half female, half male, Ardhanarishvara in Sanskrit, Ardha half, Nari Ishvara, half female God. That is the final concept, and that happens, that posture is very often shown on stage at the end of Shiva or Shakti items. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Panditji, for this beautiful representation of Shiva and Shakti, giving these beautiful descriptions of all the mudras. And we need to complete now our webinar by, we will be completing our webinar by a beautiful dance presentation by Panni Somi ji with her students. And I'm going to share the video and we will complete the webinar likewise. Give me a second. Can you people hear the sound?
No. Can't hear the sound.
Unfortunately not.
I'll just play it again. Can't hear you either.
ebben a... Persze csúszott az egész, de meg vagyunk. Igen.
Valahogy hiába téve voltam, nem nézd meg az linkről, de...
Thank you so much, Panniji, for such a beautiful performance. I'm sure all our guests have enjoyed it. All our participants have enjoyed it. Is there any question for our guests coming up from any one of you? Anybody has any question for our guests? You can unmute yourself and ask the question. Okay, thank you very much, Annu Kalra ji, Dr. Shardha, Bhagirathi ji, and Panni Somi ji for joining us and giving such an enlightening lecture on the importance of Goddess Durga and Navratra festival. The people all over the world now are following social distancing, and we are not able to celebrate it in the way we usually do. The Indians, they usually do, whether in India or anywhere else in the world, with a lot of revelry. In Bombay, in Maharashtra and Gujarat, you have dandiya, and you have amazing cuisines which are displayed at all the places. A lot of people do Durga Saptashti Path. Even here in Budapest, I do the Durga Saptashti Path. And I think today I would like to thank you people for giving an enlightening lectures to our guests who are present here, to the participants. Thank you very much. We begin today's program by this webinar, and within another 5 minutes, we are going to be live on Facebook with beautiful cultural programs, which I will invite all of you to see and watch. As soon as I leave this meeting, we are going to start the live program on Facebook, all the Facebook pages of Embassy of India. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.